Hello and welcome to my little challenge video where I beat the shells out of the Blue Smelter Demon on the hardest possible difficulty, New Game 8, after he is doing the same thing with me, as you can see here. Before I start, maybe you notice a difference to my other videos, because my character is wearing actual armor and there is an important reason for this. I will show you the pieces in detail after the fight and explain also why I need to wear them, but you will find it out by watching the combat anyways. Also, I will give you some tips here and there which could make the fight easier for you if you struggle on this big bad blue guy. So let's start in the area before him, which is not so hard to overcome as everybody think it is. Here you see you take the left path where you get into the first room with the wizard in the background and 3 knights. You can easily dodge them and go to the next passage pretty consistently, which is the hardest part. Here you can see a shooter in the background and there is also one behind you, which you can't see in this clip. Your main goal is to watch the shooter in the front and react to his shot. Sometimes he will do an early shot, sometimes he will heavily delay. It is important that you stick to the left wall here and keep sprinting through, while you want to roll the attacking knights and roll an extra 2 to 3 times at the end behind the third guardian, who will most likely do this attack, which can sometimes still hit you. But the most important is to dodge the 2 arrows, which will always be the highest threat in this particular room, because they will insta-kill and or stagger you. So you jump down into the final room before the boss fight, which is the most consistent one to get through, by hugging the left wall and sprinting all the way through by rolling this big guy, which can give you 3 different attacks there. This wizard guy you can mostly ignore and run by, but there is of course another shooter in the background that you can't see. That's why I go left here before the fog gate and roll to the right, cause this arrow will catch up to you there in 7 out of 10 times. If you manage to do this correctly, you will be fine in 90% of the time when you go through the fog gate, because the attacks from the big guys or the next spell from the wizard will not connect to you anymore. As soon as we enter the boss room, I instantly buff my weapon with the gold pine resin, because we have some time during his buckle up animation. Most of the time he will start with his stab, which is pretty easy to avoid. Then you see a follow-up standard comp, which can be just 1 attack or 1 to 3. A little pro tip for this fight: as you can hear in the background, I have the music turned on in this attempt, but I recommend to turn it off completely at this particular boss and only go by visuals, because the audio cues can be irritating in this fight if you are used to his little brother, the normal Smelter Demon. He will sometimes make these screams just to then heavily delay his attacks, which can bring you into a bad roll position if you are not accustomed to his patterns. What works best for most of his attacks, for me at least, is to do a timed roll into them, or sometimes orientate yourself to his right backside, so basically his sword arm, because the second backhand swing will then not connect most of the times, even if he's turning around a little with his body. You have to still be careful though with all of his attacks, especially with his overhead smashes, because he can delay them so badly that you even sometimes have time to put in a second roll, but that heavy amount of delay is pretty rare. Also, he can turn his body nearly entirely to your position while the animation is going. That's also the reason why you see me rolling as late as possible most of the times, even with good adaptability. Also, you want to not be greedy with your rolls and make sure you are out of his shitboxes, which can have a pretty big reach, especially with his full buffed weapon. Also noteworthy is his jumping attack, followed by an AoE, which he can also delay heavily. So make sure to not run into him there too early. I use this downtime to buff my weapon or to use a life gem or 2. Also, it is normally better to prep yourself for the next phases than attacking him during or right after his buffing animations, because he has hyper armor in this state anyways. He will do this 2 times in the course of the fight. First time he buffs his body, and on the next time he buffs his weapon. All in all, it is a tanky and damagey boss, but still pretty easy to fight with in my opinion, if you get accustomed to his patterns and get a feeling for his hitboxes. So after the fight you want to run out of the arena as fast as possible, because the guys from the room before will attack you. There is a Pharaoh's mask to loot in the next room, and the elevator will bring you back up to the big main hall. Here I want to show you my equipment very fast, which consists of the Espada Ropera, the Spell Ring +3, which gives us magical defense, and a typical ring combination for maximal damage output, Ring of Blades, Chloranthy and Flint's Ring. At this boss fight, as you saw, I unfortunately can't wear a red tearstone ring and keep it active, because just by standing at him you would die very fast, especially on NG8. If you go with the range build or something, that would be possible though, but let's be real, only pussies do that. The blue fire of this guy counts as magical, not as regular fire, so make sure to stack up these stats also on your armor. The only reason why I wear these armor pieces is because of the high amount of magical defense on it, to counterplay the flame magic damage a little bit. Without it I would need to use a life gem or two after nearly every punishing attempt, which would be just an annoyingly tedious thing to do. That's it with this challenge guide. If you enjoyed watching it, give this video a thumbs up and check out also my other challenge videos. See you there.